Stanley have 100 times the normal reserves. So they were about to go out, the investment banks were about to go out, and the whole financial system, and since all these companies are global, everybody was about to go out. That's when Obama stepped in and bailed out the banks and the insurance companies. If he did not do that, and it was not a Democratic move, it wasn't a Republican move, you see somebody drowning, you throw him a life jacket. You ask him the politics afterwards. If he did not save the banks and the insurance companies, the entire financial system globally would have gone under, and the rest of this would be history. Right now, as to why oil dropped from 147 down to 32 in 2008. When the mortgage collapse started coming, Goldman Sachs saw it. They predicted it. And they got out of their mortgage-backed securities. The manner in which they got out of their mortgage-backed securities was called to task, and they paid a $565 million fine or thereabouts, to my understanding. Okay. Morgan Stanley didn't see it coming. Morgan Stanley got clobbered on the mortgage side. One side was making money on the commodity side, the other side was losing money on the mortgage-backed securities. They were losing so much they were about to take the company under. They had to stop propping up the oil prices so that mortgages would stabilize and they can get their TARP money and get themselves squared away. Once they got themselves squared away, they pushed oil back up to $70 and kept it over $70. Recently, what Morgan Stanley's been doing of late is when the inventory numbers are due out, they would keep their tankers offshore so the inventory numbers would come out low. They would make long bets, betting that oil prices would go up. When the inventory numbers do come out low, they collect the long bet, make a short bet, and bring the tankers in. Recently, President Obama put 38 million barrels of oil from the strategic reserves onto the market. Oil dropped down to about $90. A week later, it was $98. Why? Strictly because of inventory situations, which meant that Morgan Stanley held their tankers offshore. The inventory numbers were very low, drove prices right back up. There is no reason for oil to be in the $100 range. Oil should be at $50. Now, as far as creating jobs and such, it is impossible to create a job until there is demand for a product or service. There is no demand until people have money to spend. People will not have money to spend. This economy will not get corrected until oil prices come down. Okay. What can be done about it? I can tell you what I've done and what I've tried to do about it. I talked to the Commodity Futures Trading Commission in 2010, February of 2010. I said, is anybody looking into what's going on? The response was, we can't discuss an ongoing investigation or what might or might not be under investigation. So if you have something to say, fill out the form. I filled out that form. I called back in April of 2010 and said, just out of curiosity, I know you can't talk about an ongoing investigation, but did you find anything worth looking into? And they said, we're getting a number of phone calls on it now. It's definitely being looked into. Well, in August, I called asking a question about, do the new financial regs that are coming out, do they affect trading on a foreign exchange? And I was told that they're in the conference room right now discussing that. I said, great. I said, because Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley are trading on the ICE, which is a foreign exchange, and probably is not affected by these regulations. He said, don't worry about Morgan. We got him. We got him. It is coming. It is coming. I said, great. In December, I called and said, so when is he coming? The man said, I don't know what to tell you. It's up to the managers. I don't know what to say. Well, in February of 2011, I found out that the chairman of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, is a former Goldman partner. And the commission has an energy and environmental advisory board. On this advisory board sits the CEO of the ICE, representatives of Morgan, Goldman, JP Morgan, and Merrill Lynch. Do you think it's possible that when the Department of Justice brought the information to them, that they looked at this and said, "No, I don't feel like indicting ourselves this morning"? Well, that's where it sits. I understand it might be under investigation by another agency. That doesn't mean anything. What can you do about it? Okay. You can call your congressmen, your senators, you can call your state people, call the state assemblymen and governors, and your state senators, or all your reps, because every state is having a problem with budgets. Every city is having a problem with budgets. Every school district is cutting back on programs, trying to save money, because nobody has money from sales taxes, and they can't keep raising taxes to the people because the people don't have the money. So everybody is cutting back. There are more job cutbacks. There are more civil service cutbacks. We're still in a very just downward spiral. Yes, it plateaued in spots, but it's still going to go down further unless we do something about it. Speak to your congressman. Let them know that you know it was Morgan Stanley doing this. Ask them to investigate it. And why isn't the investigation going forward? Public pressure is the only thing that will get people to act. Now, the previous segment I've just discussed, these are my opinions. I believe I've researched them to my ability, the best of my ability. How accurate they are, I can't tell you, but I believe every word I've said. Okay, these are my personal opinions. Please, I've contacted the White House. Email the White House about it. Email your senators about it. Where did the information come that said it was India and China and that it was the subprime market that was causing the problem? The Senate investigated the banks. And the banker said, it wasn't us, it was them, it was them, it was somebody else. I tried calling Senator Carl Levin's office 3 times when he was heading that committee asking these questions. And no one would talk to me because I wasn't from Michigan. Call your congressman, call your senator, write to them, email the White House, look them up on the internet, it's very easy to do, and make a statement, make it count, and let's bring these people to justice. They have done more crime, more injustice to this country. They've done more economic harm to this country than all of our enemies since our inception. Forget what they've done to the rest of the world. Spain, Italy, Greece, Ireland, and Portugal are bankrupt, or virtually so. Every other country, for the most part, is going in the same direction. It's just a question of who goes first. Something has to be done. As soon as indictments come out against these people, you will see oil prices drop. You will have more money to spend. If you had an extra $1,000 a month spendable cash, would you go to a restaurant a couple of times a month more? Would you buy a widget here and there more? That creates demand, that creates jobs, that creates sales taxes and profits. Deficits will be reduced. Cities and counties will have money from the sales taxes and from income taxes. Please, take a step. What will you do about it? What are you going to do about it? Thank you.